I wasn't planning on making this video, but with the hellfire controversy and hot debates on the internet, I was like, what the hell? I might as well throw my hat into the ring. I also have a YouTube channel, so my opinions are valid. Alright, let's do this.
You did what now?
Well, love to help you again sometime. Bye!
Welcome back, my little hard-shelled hamburgers.
Wow, Pomni, this place is actually pretty cool.
Looks like one of these guys made it through.
What's supposed to happen? Well, this is awkward. Well, if you excuse me, Pomni, I got a video essay I need to do. So, see ya. It's always nice to see indie animation making it big, especially with the introduction of the internet. Back then, you had to pay a buttload of money to open your own studio or throw your pitch to these stingy executives on exclusive channels such as Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon for a chance for your work to be greenlit. And even then, you didn't have creative freedom over your work. So any major story decisions you want to make had to go through the corporate ladder. And any decisions that conflicted with their brand would definitely get shot down. With indie animation on YouTube, you can create whatever shit you want, with no one telling you how to write your stories, except maybe YouTube guidelines, but that's besides the point. We got many great indie animations like Hellbender.
Time to go to heaven, my child.
Stop it, what are you doing?
Stop it, don't
Stop it,
fight.
cut it out,
Don't
help.
stop.
Tobuscus animation. We mean the animations, not the shit he does right now. The pilot episode of Has-Been Hotel. Jesus Christ, 2019. And if you want to consider storytime animators as well, then we have a plethora of them with their own styles and animation techniques. There have been many indie animators and studios popping up here and there, but the one indie animation studio everyone is familiar with is Glitch Productions. Glitch Productions was founded in 2017 and is known for independently producing animated web series, with some of their famous works being Murder Drones and their topic of today's video. The founders, Luke and Kevin Lerdwichgel, created this company to partner with independent artists and animators. This allows creators to bring their passion project to life without corporate interfering and restricting their vision. It's pretty noble of them to partner with independent creators to bring their stories to life. Glitch Productions collaborated with the creators Gooseworks to create the amazing Digital Circus. And how did it go?
Can we talk about how absolute dog crap the Amazing Digital Circus finale was?
The Amazing Digital Circus kinda sucks.
The fact that anyone in the circus would care about Jack subtracting, let alone feel bad for him, confuses me on a deeper level.
Pomni an abusive self-ship, and therefore Goose is a bad person for giving him screen time.
I still find to be pretty wacky. The Amazing Digital Circus drama that's been stirring and bubbling over.
Video off swinging because the internet has created a level of entitlement in fandoms. Gooseworks and the Amazing Digital Circus is the most recent thing that this is happening.
Long for this to be the Jack show, well, she should have made that more clear from the start. The pilot of
Stealing his secrets. That the show infuriates me by not just saying out loud.
The finale of The Amazing Digital Circus is one of the biggest testaments to why we should bring back filler episodes.
I just watched the finale for The Amazing Digital Circus. Oh my god, that shit was garbage.
Oh my. Everyone is obsessed with this cartoon. I wouldn't say I was super into the show like most people on the internet, though I did have fun watching the series. It does get annoying that my brother tried to convince me to watch the latest episode and the atrocious amount of spoilers all over the internet, but hey, everyone loves the series. My brother's fiance invited me and my little brother to watch the finale in theaters. I love supporting indie studios, so of course I went with them. Side note, it was the worst movie theater experience of my life. There's these kids at the movie theater that won't shut the fuck up for 40 minutes, to the point that my brother had enough to complain to the movie theater manager to tell him to shut up. So yeah, My movie theater experience was ruined, but how's the finale? Was it good?
Well, this sucks.
Why such a controversy? What happened? Well, let's get to the amazing. Okay, I'll stop. In the Amazing Digital Circus, we are introduced to our main cast. Pomni, the nervous jester. Jax, the sarcastic rabbit. Ragatha, an apologetic ragdoll. Kinger, a borderline insane king piece. Zubul, a cynical bundle of toys. Gangle, a crying happy ribbon mask thing. Kane, the ringleader of this whole operation. And Bubble, his pet, I suppose.
Why are you like this?
We know that these characters are people whose minds got trapped into the digital circus. The general story is that the group has to deal with Kane's wacky adventures like if they were those Nick Jr. cartoons. Most of the time, they are simple adventures, but even then, it goes much deeper. No, it doesn't. I just wanted to say that. But their main goal is to try to find a way out of the circus and at the same time cope with their traumas. There has been many characters before Pomni that has since been extracted.
It's just Kaufmo. Don't worry about it.
Kaufmo abstracted?
Abstraction is the process where the individual mental state has degraded so much their minds and body breaks down and create these creepy geometric monsters with multiple eyes, aggressive like a mindless animal. It's a metaphorical death for these characters, and that's an interesting concept.
That's pretty good.
Throughout the adventures, we get to see the relationships between the characters. Pomni is our main lead, an audience surrogate you could say. We only know as much as she does, so a lot of exposition given to her feels natural, especially when we get to know our digital friends through her perspective. She hangs out with them one by one, either understanding their traumas or just giving them a sense of comfort. Each character gets an episode to themselves. Sorta. I'll get to that in a second. We see that Kinger, my favorite Chad, has been in the circus longer than anyone else in the cast besides Kane. He had an obsession with bugs, a little silly at times.
You're right! How are we gonna get out of here?
And his comedic timing is gold.
Red one?
I'd personally go with blue. Blue's my favorite color, it being closest to black and all.
Though he doesn't seem to get along with the other cast members just because he's kinda mentally unstable. But whenever he was in the dark, it gives him a sense of clarity, regaining his sanity, providing words of wisdom and remnants about his late wife who has been extracted in the circus. We also learned that he used to work at a company that created both the Digital Circus and Kane. Kane is this whimsical AI that spontaneously creates new adventures for our main cast for his own amusement. I don't know if he's insane or he's just very happy half the time.
I am such a good...
Which prompts him to become a villain of the story. It's actually pretty neat to see an antagonist that doesn't intentionally harm our cast. He wanted everyone to have fun with his adventures and tries to convince everyone that the circuit is a better place than the real world. Gangle is a sentient ribbon with 2 theater masks to represent her personality. She is portrayed as shy in most of the episodes, a struggling artist, and her spotlight episode shows that she used to work at a fast food industry. A running gag with her is that she keeps accidentally breaking or losing her comedy mask. She has a great relationship with Zubul, but is terrified of Jax because of his constant bullying.
I blame you for this.
Ragatha is a people pleaser. She seeks validation and tries to keep the cast together. We know that she had a strict and abusive mother that shaped her into who she is, and she is afraid to speak up without hurting anyone's feelings. She tries so hard to make everyone happy that she suppresses her true feelings.
I think I might have failed Pomni. Just like I failed Jax.
Honestly, I'm surprised that she keeps her composure for so long, despite her obvious distress throughout the series. Zubul is an interesting character. She is made of assorted toy parts that frequently changes throughout the show. It could easily be overlooked on the first viewing. She first comes off as annoyed with Kane's adventures and is usually pessimistic.
Zubul, why does all you do is complaining?
I want the ability to have sex.
No way. Are we finally having this conversation?
But she deeply cares about her digital friends, showing empathy and not being afraid to call out Jax for his obnoxious behavior. She is pretty cool and down to earth, with her backstory being just as interesting since she used to work at a tattoo artist and a bartender. What a combo. This tweet that Gooseworks made shows a list of spotlight episodes where we get to know the characters and focus on them. However, some of them fell short, like with the Ragatha and Zubul episodes. We hardly know who they are, their struggles, or their past, just a brief overview of their struggles, but nothing deeper. I don't think the therapy scene does a good job to be a Zooble scene, kind of forced. And the Jax episode, the one with the guns, is much more of a Ragatha episode when she vents to Kinger. What is funny is that the Ragatha episode has more information on the gang's backstory better than the actual Spotlight episodes. Oh, and finally we have Jax. Jax. I am going to be completely honest here. I actually liked Jack at first.
What you say is heresy.
When he is first introduced, he is this sarcastic asshole doing whatever he wants. The bunny with the flow. He doesn't really care about anyone and doesn't really attach himself to anyone either.
Oh no, they killed Zooble. Anyway, you guys want to go get something to eat?
He likes to pick on Gangle a lot. It makes every person in the circus miserable. It's even funny back when episode 2 was released, when people finally found out that after their honeymoon phase that he is a jerk.
Ah, that's perfect! Just hold that pose, I gotta get something.
Like, yeah, no duh, you finally realize that? Jax reminds me of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where the characters are so unlikable that they're actually funny and entertaining. He is what I describe as a flawed character. Characters that are nearly unredeemable because of the actions they have caused.
Just like Mom used to make.
They aren't necessarily villains, just broken people, and that's fine. Jax perfectly fits to that category. I'd say he's a pretty good flawed side character. What's that? He's the main character? And a self-insert? Oh no. Self-inserts are such a difficult character to balance around. Don't get me wrong, we have great examples such as Dipper from Gravity Falls.
I need your help.
You're the worst.
However, the negative stigma around self-inserts is usually because they are written to be heroes, the main character, and the main focus or theme. Sometimes it can hinder or contrive the media, but at the same time, it can create an engaging story. It can be relatable and provide a powerful message to the overall story. And from all the characters that could have been a great self-insert, it had to be Jax.
No, I mean, we were doing fine, having fun, talking. But you suddenly
You're not committing.
Do it. Yeah, that is where the issue comes in. To be honest, I thought Pomni was the main character, or at the very least, the self-insert.
Kinda cringe.
Look at the thumbnails. Only 2 of the 9 are where I could say that he is the center alongside Pomni. But Pomni is in the center and forefront of nearly every episode, so many people would assume that Pomni is the main character and everyone else are side characters. After rewatching the series, I could see how Gooseworks says he is also a main character. When Pomni was in the A plot, Jax would be in the main character in the B plot. Even in episode 1 where Jax carried the second group with the Gloink Queen.
I'm not here for the adventure or anything, I'm just here to hide from the...
It became even more obvious throughout the episodes where he would take charge while Pomni stands on the sideline connecting with the other characters. He is a very proactive character where much of the story's progression involves him taking the initiative. You can clearly see favoritism with the plushie in the first few waves of merchandises. However, the way that he was portrayed made it feel like he wasn't the focus, nor were there any indication that he had always been a main character. Many people say that episodes 7 and 8 are Jax episodes, but they are not. Though he did trip balls in episode 7, and a bit of a character development where we see he was in a deeper relationship with Kaufmo and this new character, Ribbit. He also lost his mind a bit, which I think is a valid response since Kane played a cruel joke on the cast.
I'm joking! Stop!
After rewatching episode 7, it's actually insane. It's a major turning point of the series. The emotional distress, false hope, and Abel's twist villain-esque is brilliant. And Jax has a past that he seems to not really want to go back to. I don't know if Cain and Abel are a biblical reference. Cain did delete Abel, and when we thought Cain was deleted, he wasn't. In the Bible, God did give Cain the mark of Cain for his protection, just in case someone were to murder him. Probably the first abstracted, Scratch, the original programmer of Cain, had a backup file just in case someone were to delete him. So his name is a foreshadow that he didn't really got deleted. The company may have shut down, but Cain is forced to be alive, wandering into the void, just like the Bible story. I'm going too deep here, I'm just speaking jargon here. Where was I? Oh yeah, episodes 7 and 8 are not Jax episodes. But episode 9 definitely has a huge spotlight on him. It might as well be another Jax episode with how much emphasis there is. You could also say it's a Kane episode as well with his brief redemption arc. That's neat. But the finale really puts sour taste in everyone's mouth. This conclusion to the series created a hot debate that made me want to be involved in this conversation. People in the fandom are in each other's throats, with people trying to explain their opinions while the other group calls them idiots for not having media literacy and saying, "You just don't get it."
You just don't get it, do you? You don't.
That's not a valid argument. As a shitty video essay VTuber, I might as well express my opinion. I'm just stating my viewpoint, peer reviewing other people's opinions on this topic, and whooshing them all together to create my current opinion. The final episode is definitely a disappointment in the series, especially with how it ruins Jax, at least for me that is. Jax is a deeply flawed character. If something were to happen to him in the past that made him the way he is, it kinda ruined the idea of a flawed character, but could also develop him to be a much deeper character. Gooseworks actually nailed that. We get to see inside Jax's mind and witness his personal and internal struggles, being abused, homeless, feeling alone. That's insightful. He pushed everyone away because he had severe trust issues. He feels like everyone is against him, not realizing the people around him are just trying to help him. But his deep trauma prevents him from opening up, and when he does, he resorts back to his defense mechanism. For example, he feels like he's been tricked by Ribbit and doesn't trust her to keep his secret safe, so he purposely alienated Ribbit from everyone, not realizing the damage he caused. If you don't change and nothing around you changes, you will eat yourself and your surroundings alive. This YouTube quote I found perfectly summarizes Jax's behavior. Clearly self-destructive, committing a metaphorical suicide. I wish we could see the abstraction, but that would be equivalent of seeing someone blow their brains out in front of you. So obviously Gooseworks isn't going to show that. Thank you for that. It is a well-written ending, leaving a bittersweet conclusion. With that being said, this is where I have the most trouble defending him because Jax is not a good person. He is an ass and bully everyone in the show. In fact, here's a list of things that he does in the series: battery, assault, verbal abuse, domestic terrorism, blackmail, nearly choking out Pomni, insinuating a genocide on the Kenny people, dunk Ragatha in boiling oil, purposely and indirectly breaking Gingle's mask multiple times, and the list goes on.
Aren't you supposed to be submissive and agreeable? Move it!
He loves inflicting pain on others despite knowing that they are people just like him and can still feel pain. He goes with the flow and says they are just cartoons, so it's fine. You could also argue that he caused Ribbit and Kaufmo's abstraction, his closest friends. And I'm pretty sure Gangle would have extracted as well if Zuba wasn't there. For sakes, Gangle's traumatized in episode 6 where she is worried that Jax will retaliate against her.
He probably wants revenge, and he's gonna make it painful.
Wait, so does that mean that Kaufmo and Ribbit also committed suicide? At that point, this is when I started to dislike Jax. Not because he is a flawed character, but a flawed character that doesn't take accountability for the harm and destruction he inflicted on his would-be friends.
What would you do if I abstracted tomorrow?
I'd move on. And probably forget about you.
For a self-insert character, he is a pretty shitty person. If you didn't catch on already, I used Jax with a he-him pronoun instead of a she-her because while I was writing this script, I figured out that Jax is trans. Isn't it obvious? No, not really. I was wondering why people post fan art of Jax in girl outfits. And it's not helping when the show refers to her as a man and Goosewick still refer to Jax with a he-him pronoun in answering questions. And this sucks because that statement makes a lot of people switch sides just because Jax is trans. Then all the action she did is justifiable?
I love you.
No, stop that. It makes Jax's character look even worse. And oh my god, in the end credits, after Jax disappears, everyone's life seems to be much better without her. Holy shit, it's like that Fairy Odd Parents episode. You know the one. A lot of the audience's criticism doesn't miss the point. We are not stupid. Oh, you just can't comprehend the deeper meaning that reflects the creator's trauma. Yeah, and the door's red. What's your point? It's fine that you want to incorporate your internal struggles and have deep meaning in the media. We have that all the time. It's just how it was delivered. Jax was leading up to be a bigger character. We thought that she might have a redemption arc, more depth to her trauma, or maybe a self-sacrifice moment.
Be here later.
I will.
However, from what we saw is a broken person that bullies other characters for her own amusement, and the finale wanted us to sympathize with her. The way Jax abstracted is so sudden too, but it makes sense. The people who needed help the most doesn't usually reach out, and the next thing you know, they're gone. That's realistic and deeply unsettling. Even when we realize that everyone there is technically not real, they make the best of a bad situation cause they are all in this together. And it is really sad to see Pomni trying to give her very best to save Jax. And the one time where Pomni did not check up on her, she is gone.
I wish I'd pried a little more. I somehow forgot how bad it can get.
It's such a bittersweet ending. However, Jax herself doesn't feel like she earned the spotlight. Just because you could relate to the character doesn't necessarily mean that you should associate them with them. If I were in the circus, I would be sad that Jax is gone, but I would not miss her. She was being an ass to everybody. Why would I sympathize with an abuser? If Gooseworks were to commit Jax as a flawed character archetype, it'll be fine. Or maybe her backstory was written a little differently. Then maybe people would be more lenient with her arc. And really, after episode 6, she was building up to be something more meaningful. Like, maybe she was content with staying in the circus, and Ribbit must have a huge disagreement that causes their falling out, causing Ribbit to abstract. And Jax would use her asshole attitude as a defense mechanism to not get close to anyone, not wanting to lose another friend until Pomni arrives, or even as simple as a sorry. And I think that's the point. Counter argument. What if her death is a form of accountability? It won't make sense if I don't explain it. You see, from all the shitty decisions, Jax made it worse for herself. Her unexcused trauma causes her close friends to abstract. Her negative attitude towards everyone causes them to distance themselves. And when they do try to help her, she doesn't trust them, and every bad action deteriorated her mental state. And karma has finally creeped up to her. She knows she has a problem and did nothing to fix it, besides an unhealthy cup of being an ass to everybody. I say it many times, it's so bittersweet, and it took me a long time to appreciate the narrative Gooseworks made. I still stand by my opinion because the way she was written and how much focus there is on her, the general audience and myself has an expectation that she may have a deeper character development. But instead, what we got is a very flawed character with a great build-up, but terrible execution. At the end of the day, it's just a cartoon. It's not that deep. Literally, Gooseworks wanted to make an interesting story with dark themes, but people on the internet are very entitled when it comes to lore. Not every media needs to have lore, just a fun story, and that's perfectly fine. However, people would be bullying and harassing Gooseworks to explain what the fuck is going on. You see, Jack's controversy is one of the forefront of this whole shit show. There is so much more I want to talk about, but I've gone so deep in this rabbit hole that this would have turned into more than an hour-long video. Some questions include, what's CNA? What is Bubble? How does the other characters get into the circus when it's in an abandoned building? Gooseworks have these half-assed responses on some of the lore because there wasn't any lore to begin with. After the finale, people just flooded into her social media wanting explanations she doesn't have or wasn't prepared for. That's why a lot of her responses is usually a what if, maybe, or I guess.
Your guess? Buddy, you wrote it. It's your story. What happened? Why are you guessing?
I'd be annoyed too if people keep bugging me for additional information instead of enjoying the media for what it is. I'm part of the problem too, I'm not denying that. But people in the fandom can be so annoying and tiresome. I mean, what other fandom isn't like that? I love the Amazing Digital Circus. I like how it blends the fun story with deeply unsettling themes. It's a fun watch from start to finish. I never really got bored watching the series. However, it does get really annoying when the fandom puts too much expectation on Gooseworks.
Saying, I know people are upset with my response, which is fine, but I kind of just wanted to make a cartoon, and it's ended up being way more trouble than it's worth.
Like I said before, not every story needs to have deep lore, but I do believe that the writing does need some improvement. If you didn't catch my rant earlier throughout the entire video. But I don't think stretching out the series or put it into an episodic format would do any better without putting in unnecessary filler. It's crazy because I don't believe the Amazing Digital Circus would even be this popular, but with the backing of a reputable studio, unique character designs, and that 50s squats and stretch cartoon aesthetic, plus an interesting premise and a story, people are just deeply invested in this show. In the future, Gooseworks will create many more amazing stories, and I hope for the very best for her. And as for the next 10 years, the Amazing Digital Circus will bounce back as one of the best indie animations on YouTube.
Sup, I'm Evil Pomni.